Welcome to the Newsmakers Podcast. I'm Billy Hollowell, and this is a show where we go behind the headlines every day to bring you an interview with a pastor, entertainer, politician, or other notable news figure. And this is a show, again, it's daily, but it's based on our weekly TV show, which is also called Newsmakers. You can watch it on the CBN News channel and also on our YouTube page. And on this show, every day, we dive deep. It's a little more longer form with one of the people who you will often see on our Newsmakers show or across the CBN News platforms. On today's Newsmakers, we sit down with Joel Penton. He is the head of LifeWise Academy, an organization that provides Bible education to public school students during the school day. That might sound a little bit shocking to you, but he's going to get into how his organization does that and the incredible impact they are having in schools across America. With no further ado, here is Joel Penton.
So Joel, there's a lot to get into here, but before we do, tell us a little bit about LifeWise.
Yeah, well, thank you. LifeWise Academy provides Bible education to public school students during school hours, which to most people sounds crazy because of, the whole separation of church and state and how the Bible has been removed from the public school day. But what very few people realize is that in 1952, the Supreme Court actually ruled that public school students can be released from school during school hours to receive religious instruction if the program is off school property, privately funded, and students have parental permission. This has been kind of under the radar for 70 years. A few years ago, we learned about this and started a program, LifeWise Academy, a model that any community across the country could implement. Started with just 2 schools in 2019, and today we're serving more than 340 schools across 15 states.
That is incredible. And obviously, with all the issues going on in schools, I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to have this program in their community. I think your growth shows that. Now, recently, you caught the attention of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which is an atheist activist group. They took issue with LifeWise and actually sent a letter out to all of the schools in Ohio. Tell us a little bit about what their issue was.
Well, it's hard to know exactly what their issue was. You can guess. I mean, they're an atheistic organization, and they don't like that, Christianity, and they have a kind of a vendetta, whatever. And so they sent a letter out to every single superintendent in the state of Ohio, in part because LifeWise is spreading so rapidly in Ohio. And the next year we will be in a full quarter of the 600 school districts in the state of Ohio. But the letter didn't necessarily make a strong case for why schools shouldn't allow this type of thing. They just wanted to clarify, you don't have to do this, which I thought was kind of funny, because they almost made a really great legal case for how it is legal. I mean, it's very legal. It's not controversial. And they just wanted to make sure schools knew that they didn't have to. And we were asked to make a public comment about them sending this letter because we heard about it. And of course, we publicly thanked the Freedom from Religion Foundation for investing their time and money to spread the word about LifeWise, because what we find is that when people learn about it, they tend to get pretty excited. And the people that don't like it is a very, very small minority.
Well, and one thing that we should emphasize here is a lot of the kids and the families who are part of LifeWise, who in their school districts take part, they're not churchgoers, right? They're not actively involved in the faith. Is that accurate?
Oh, that's very accurate. I mean, we've done surveys, and we know the stats that, less than 20%, in fact, it's less than 20% of kids attend church regularly. And we will often have well over 50% of the entire student body enroll, sometimes 80 and even upwards of 90% of the whole student body. We have one school that has over 1,000 students in the school, and over 900 of them are enrolled in LifeWise Academy. And so the vast majority are not part of a church. And so, I would say the Freedom from Religion Foundation realizes that there's a lot of kids that are currently outside the faith that are being brought in and receiving Bible education, which of course is a wonderful thing. And it bothers them.
So just before we get into Ohio's response to what the Freedom from Religion Foundation did, take us through specifically when the kids leave during lunch, during their free periods, they go to LifeWise, they go to a separate location. What exactly are they, it's Bible education. What are they doing there before they go back to the school during the school day?
Yeah, well, as you said, it is Bible education. It's not rocket science. We pick kids up, either we walk them to a nearby location or we bus them to a nearby location. I'll just use the example of the school that there's 1,000 students in the school, 900 of them are in LifeWise. So based on the schedule, there's a kind of a free period that kids are on a rotation in the same way they get art class once a week and music class once a week. There's this time period on a rotation that 2 classrooms at a time are released. They get on our 72 passenger bus. We take them less than a mile down the road to the YMCA. They split into 2 classrooms and they receive a Bible class. We teach kids through the entire Bible, Genesis through Revelation, over 5 years. So in first grade, they start in Genesis. We teach them the Bible lesson, connect it to Jesus. How does this reveal the gospel in this lesson? And then how does this transform our character as well as the gospel takes root in our heart? We talk about head, heart, hands. And then kids, after their 45-minute lesson, they get back on the bus, they head down to the school, they get off the bus, a whole new group gets on, and it's 5 times a day, 5 days a week to rotate those 900 kids through the program.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting getting back to Freedom from Religion Foundation. Obviously, this is the last thing they want to see happen as atheist activists, right? So it's interesting though, because Ohio, your Attorney General there, Dave Yost, he actually came out and affirmed, and he didn't have to do this. He sent his own letter out to the school districts affirming the legality. Talk a little bit about your reaction to that letter.
Well, it's hard to be more excited about it than, it's just beautiful, right? Because this out-of-state atheist activist organization sends a letter to all Ohio schools, and our Attorney General, I guess he just didn't appreciate it. So he sent his own letter saying, hey, I've been notified that this out-of-state organization, he didn't use the word bullying. That's kind of how we interpreted it. Like this outside group was kind of bullying schools, almost not, they weren't threatening, but they were, lobbying Ohio schools. And our Attorney General, Dave Yost, said, just to clarify, release time is entirely legal. And one of my favorite lines from the letter was, this is not new or controversial. This is well established. You don't need to be concerned. And in fact, if the faith community and the school are working together, this is a positive thing. And so just kind of calming everyone. And it was, I have to say, it was amazing. I compared it to a shot block, right? Like Freedom from Religion Foundation was taking this shot and our AG just kind of stuffed that thing. It's really great.
One of the other things that you and I have talked about, when LifeWise is in a community, in a school, there's an impact. And you recently you commissioned a study, an independent study, to look at that impact. I really want to talk about that before we go, because it's important. Talk a little bit about the findings of that study.
Yeah. So from the very beginning, the inception of LifeWise, the question has been, what are the practical, visible outcomes of this education? And decades of research have shown that religious instruction in general has a positive impact. Grades increase, behavior improves, mental health improves, that type of thing. But we've been anxious to have enough data to show that exact thing is happening with LifeWise. And now we have that data. We did commission a study, and they compared the schools that implemented LifeWise over years to thousands of schools, similar schools across the country. And they find that when LifeWise is implemented, attendance increases significantly. Kids are that much more interested in going to school, that there's in fact a net increase in class time if LifeWise is implemented. So get this, even though we're pulling kids out of class to teach them the Bible and bringing them back, so many more kids come to school so much more regularly that they actually get a net increase in class time, and in-school suspension numbers drop and out-of-school suspension numbers drop as well. And so it's a much easier case when we go to principals, even if they're not, and superintendents, even if they're not Christians, to say, hey, do you want your attendance to go up? Do you want suspensions to go down? Here's a program that doesn't cost you a penny. It engages the community and will have this impact.
That's incredible. Now, if people are interested, they might be watching this, listening to this, thinking, gosh, I want to know more about this. Maybe I want to bring it to my community. Where can they go to get more information?
Yes, thank you. I would encourage you to go to lifewise.org. That's lifewise.org. And if you're in a community, I would really encourage you, if you hear this, okay, Bible education for public school students during school hours, that sounds great, but I don't know if it would work here in my community. I just want to encourage you to erase any doubt in your mind, because we're seeing this work in the inner city, in the suburbs, in rural communities, now across 15 states. It can definitely happen. And we've tried to make it as simple as possible through a 10-step launch process. When you go to our website and watch some videos and learn more about it, please don't leave the site until you click the button that says Find Your School. And then you can voice your support for one of these programs in your local school. And then you can get the emails and you can stay in touch with how the movement's going in your community. The process starts with collecting signatures. So again, lifewise.org, find your school, add your name to the list, and see it happen near you.
Joel, as always, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today.
Billy, thanks so much for having me.
That's all for today's Newsmakers podcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of the show, and also head over to the CBN News YouTube channel and the CBN News channel to watch Newsmakers every week. We'll see you soon.